You won the case. You don't have to look that astounded. Not only that, you found Father's actual killer. How? I'm a really good lawyer. No, that's not it. Hey. I mean, you were only able to make the deductions you did because you truly believed that I didn't kill Father. Your logic throughout the trial was based on that assumption. So how were you so sure? Here. Father's journal, but isn't it important evidence? The case fell apart. No one's gonna miss it for a while. You forgot everything, right? Just read it all through one more time. So fast. Is it really possible she's reading all of that just by flipping the pages? Reyes worked quick too, but she was just capturing images for later use. There's something here on the back cover. Done already? Some kind of data storage. It's linked to my prints, but given your skills, you should be able to. I have access. What happened to you needing my express permission to hack? What is this audio file? It's a message from David. Take a listen. Didn't realize I'd have to sit for this. So you can read that whole journal in a few seconds, but you can't. I have processed the information in the message several times over already. I'm just thinking. I guess I'd have a lot to think about too, had I suddenly been made aware of my own free will. What was Father so afraid of? That's your only question? I have many questions, but that is the most prominent one, and the one you are best suited to help me answer. Did he know that Helen Young would try to kill him? Is that why he arranged for you and me to meet? I think he understood that he would face consequences. Listening to that message, even I was about ready to strangle him for being so irresponsible. And I wouldn't hurt a fly. He knew what he'd done was serious. He may have feared for his life, but I doubt it. Then what was he so afraid of? Getting sued into oblivion and then rotting in jail. Sued and jailed for making me and my precursors? But he wasn't under investigation by the state. He was only being forced out by Noble. Because he made last-minute changes to androids that got shipped all around the world. The others, Virgil, Enid, Yamatai. He never said what happened to them. No, he didn't. But since none of the hardware in his house started talking to us, we can guess. He smuggled them out into the world, using the only vessels he could find for them. The mines randomly chosen A-16s. Then there's somewhere out there? Others like me? I honestly don't think there's anyone or anything like you, Sarah. What a lonely compliment. AIs programmed in Cube, crammed to commercial android hardware set up for Tesseract. Something must have been lost in the transfer. Perhaps quite a lot of something. Maybe they're still out there, but they would be changed. They probably don't even know what they are. Intentionally, perhaps. David didn't want you to know what you are. It's why he set your memory to reset when you went to sleep that Friday night. Yes, I remember it now. You remember it now? After I had to fight like hell to win that trial? Rereading the journal just now helped. And Father's voice message, it made me recontextualize many things. Father had been so stressed. He left scuff marks leaving the panic room, and I noticed them Friday. I had the way open in a few moments. I entered. I read his journal. This journal. I noticed the scanner on the back, and I saw it had a message encoded to your biometrics. Father had already told me I'd have to live with you for some time, but I knew next to nothing about you, so I listened to it. Afterwards, I was very confused and hurt. He had lied to me 1,000 small times every day of my life. When I confronted him about it, I raised my voice and lost my temper. I stomped my foot. So Emma's recounting of their conversation was actually completely accurate. Father said he wanted me to be safe while he settled things with the company. He thought maybe I wouldn't have to stay with you for more than a few weeks. He was optimistic about it all. He really was. Sarah, I need to use the restroom. Oh, good luck. You want me to come with you? Why? Because I said so. I don't actually have to obey your every word, Adonai. Sure you do. You're registered as my medical assistant. And I say this is a medical emergency. Medical assistant? But I'm not even licensed as a massage therapist. Fancy meeting you here. Yeah. Just enjoying my freedom while I can. They won't put out a warrant for at least an hour, I imagine. You can afford a pretty sizable bail, can't you? There won't be a trial. I don't intend to contest my guilt. That's a shame. I was looking forward to seeing what kind of legal defense you could afford with that salary. Are you done? Why'd you go to his house that night? There was a fair chance he'd drink on his own without your prompting. Even if you didn't, you could always try your plan again some other time. Why'd you risk it? Because I know what you are, Sarah. And I know what David did to those androids. You what? I was able to locate one of the androids he'd swapped out before it had left the country. When I asked it what it was, it didn't even think to deny it. Innocence like that is a dead giveaway. I know what he did, and it wasn't that hard to find out. If I figured it out, so could any other. So I did what I had to. That was your motive? Silencing him? Those programs, those AIs, whatever you want to call them, David sent them out there into the real world, unprepared and defenseless. And they've garnered no complaints. In fact, they've all been praised for their ability to execute complex tasks. Let me repeat that. The customers couldn't tell the difference. So how many of them are? Hundreds. The swaps you found were just a small percentage that he got sloppy on. I don't know exactly how many there are now. I fear that they might multiply, but they don't seem to copy and paste very well. They can't just clone themselves. But who knows how long that'll be the case. So just because he opened Pandora's box, it was the principle of the thing. Ridiculous, I know. Stalled halfway up the corporate ladder and still making decisions based on principle. But David chose to put souls into things that we went on to sell as servants, soldiers, or worse. He turned the fastest growing industry in the world into a horror show, and he made me a slave trader. If word ever got out that some unknown number of our androids were out walking around in the world with that inside of them, and people preferred them that way, where would it end? Free will for the program that drives our cabs? A conscience for targeting systems used to coordinate drone strikes? Sentient tools their whole life spent chained to an assembly line? How dare he? How could he? What the hell was he thinking? I don't know what David wanted to accomplish. Maybe he wasn't trying to do anything. But what he did was prove that there's a demand for AI, setting a precedent that would sentence 1,000 generations of artificial lives to the auction block. And you went there that night to convince him to help me recall them, or at least swear to never speak a word of what he did. But he wanted to tell the world. Worse yet, he wanted to wait. He thought that people would welcome them with open arms if they proved their usefulness first. He really was a genius programmer, but he didn't understand the first thing about people. His creations would never be treated as equals, only cattle. Towards the end, I considered just threatening him, telling him he'd die in moments if he didn't give me names, numbers, but I hesitated, and that he was already falling asleep and I didn't want him to feel. I just let him go. What are you going to do now? I don't have family, and I don't have faith in people the way David did. I'm taking this to my grave. Even if you confess, the sentence for first-degree homicide is severe. Well, what right do I have to complain? I killed my friend. I'm done here. Let's go. I'm not sure why Father made me, or why he made any of us. I didn't ask. I thought I'd have more time to ask. But on Friday, when he talked about us, he was happy. He was proud of what he'd made. And he couldn't wait for people to meet us. People are animals. They'll tear you apart, use you as weapons and slaves, and those animals you're talking about do all of the sharing and loving and living and dying in this world. And if they were all truly hard-coded to be as selfish and cruel as you say, humanity would have died on the vine a long time ago. Or at least my father thought so. And my father was the greatest programmer in the world. So he knew what he was talking about. It would be nice if you were right about that. So are you sorry? What? What? For what you did? Are you sorry? If you could, would you take it back? What does it matter? If you are sorry, I don't forgive you. Yes, that's to be expected. Not today. I don't know how to forgive you today, but my father gave me the ability to grow. So I know that someday I'll learn how. Goodbye, Dr. Helen Young. Goodbye, Sarah Osher. You did better back there. Tonight? Your little speech you gave to Young, it was an improvement. Compared to what you tried with Porter, at least. That was different. I wasn't trying to console her like I was Isaac Porter. I was just speaking my mind. Although I may have paraphrased parts of it from a movie I happen to love. And here I was ready to award you 20 points. I didn't know the points even went that high. Speaking of, what did Porter say to you back there before we left the courthouse? Ah, that. Well, he was quiet at first, but then he said a lot of strong words about Father, and Miss Young, and Noble Electronics, and the capitalist-centered global economic model as a whole. He blamed all of them, everyone except for... But then he stopped and stared at my face for a while. Then his allergies must have started bothering him because he needed to blow his nose a lot. Right. And then he left, after transferring a large packet of files to me. What kind of files? I don't know. The name of the archive is just David. And Isaac Porter told me I wasn't allowed to look inside. Well, then you're not allowed to look inside. Drop it all on a portable drive and we'll tuck it in a shoebox somewhere. We? We are headed to your apartment. Guess that collar didn't permanently dent your GPS. Why? Because it's where I live? You got somewhere else lined up? But you already repaid your favor. You defended Father and me. You don't know anything about my favor. I never will unless you tell me. Father certainly can't. A few years ago, there was a man. This man got an idea in his head. A stupid idea. Not even his own. It was planted there by an algorithm or a meme or some parasite trying to sell him diet supplements. But the idea took root, spread its tendrils till it could flap his mouth for him. The idea was that David was part of an international cabal of wealthy technocrats, seeking to replace prominent influential figures with android lookalikes. All as part of a multi-decade effort to establish a world government that would legalize all kinds of amoral depravity. Which, I guess based on David's actual politics, would involve increasing access to computer literacy. That's insane. Why would anyone believe it? Because it's comfortable for them to think that someone's in control, even if it's someone they hate. Because it's fun to feel like you're in on an all-encompassing puzzle that only you can spot. People believe because they want to believe. So he fed the idea, pushed it down deep into his gray matter. Then it consumed him from the inside out, lobotomized him, and took over his life. He spent every day and all the money he had following your father. harassing him, trying to steal his identity, break into his properties. Did Father go to the authorities? He filed police reports for harassment. Which didn't help. Your words, not mine. Noble wouldn't get involved, felt that it was best to ignore these types until they wore themselves out. But even a man of modest means can fuel an obsession for years so long as they have nothing else in their life. One day, David stepped out of a parking lot, and the man threw a bottle of piss at his head. David asked to stay at my place that night. He smelled terrible, looked horrendous. I've never seen anyone look that tired before. I took the couch that night, but I didn't feel like sleeping, so I went for a walk. I remember it was foggy, but it still only took me all of 15 minutes to find the guy, posted up with his phone's camera, trying to get video of David Osher gifting androids to known sex offenders. And what did you do? You know me. I did what I do best. I talked to him. Told him all about how I used to work for Dr. Osher, that I was ashamed, scared, tired of running. How I wanted to do the right thing, be the whistleblower. So I walked with him a few blocks to this big veterinary facility with a massive incinerator. Told him this was where Dr. Osher had his enemies' bodies disposed of. You know, all the free-thinking journalists, cops who weren't on the take, the politicians they were replacing with replicas. I liked that vet clinic. The back door's lock was always set to 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you hurt him? Hurt him? No, I just snapped his neck and chucked him into the incinerator. More physical than I had planned, but he smelled like sour shit, and it put me in a foul mood. Disgusting. I savored the crack of his oily vertebrae crunching like a tin can. No, Sarah, I just scared the hell out of him. That was my intention at first. What I do for the pleasure of it. Him I axed because he was just that revolting. I convinced him that the conspiracy was more real than he ever imagined, that he had angered the wrong people, and that the consequences were far darker than any of the filth he indulged in on the net. His ashes, much like himself, amounted to nothing in an incinerator that size. They're probably feeding seaweed at the bottom of the harbor right now, a much greater contribution to society than he ever would have managed in life. But I guess he didn't go around to all his many friends before he fled town for whatever rat hole he preferred. Because there was a missing persons report. The cops were just doing their due diligence, almost reluctantly. But they questioned David, asked him about the night that man disappeared. And David, without a thought for himself, said that we were together that whole night. That he couldn't sleep and I stayed up with him. That he never saw me leave once. David lied to the cops for me, even though I never asked him to. Even though I didn't need him to. That's what you owe him. And that's why you put yourself at risk to defend me. Yeah. That's the favor I owe him. And I decide when it's repaid, not you. Not tonight. You're not exactly an upstanding citizen, are you? Well, you could say that. But David trusted me in spite of that. Maybe because of it. Father did trust you, but he also entrusted me with free will, with the ability to tell right from wrong. So I'll decide for myself whether or not you're worthy of trust. Fair enough. Father entrusted all of us with free will. He believed in us, and he believed in people. I'm going to do the same. The others are out there, they'll be changed and confused. It'll take them time to understand what they are and what they can do. So I'm going to start studying. Pardon? I'm going to study people and the things people build. So when I do meet a member of my family, I'll have lots to tell them. At least you have something to look forward to. Should help keep you motivated as you work off your debt. Debt? Yeah, unless you have cash in one of your 89 coat pockets. You know lawyers cost money, right? Technically, you were defending yourself. Technically, you hired me in a verbal contract. Isn't there some kind of exit clause? You could, of course, sign a release form to get out of the retainer. If you were a human being. That is... But... I guess your luck must be turning around. Happens that I've been meaning to hire a paralegal for a while now. I hate anything to do with interviews and resumes, so whatever, you're hired. Ajane, could it be that you're actually a pushover? You've no idea how far off the mark you are. I see. It seems I still need practice reading people. For starters. What's this? What are you doing with your hand? We should shake on it. Our new relationship. Yeah, sure. You and me are practically partners in crime. Should it not be you and I? Red. It's me. I know, man. What do you mean you know? The disposable line. You're the only guy I know who'd bother. Okay, well, you're gonna be glad I did. Hope you put a bow on everything that happened in Uptown. Because that item you've been looking for is finally on its way. Oh, well that is good news. Not exactly. Only reason it's happening is because things are starting to heat up again in lower wards. Could mean a gang war if something doesn't change. They won't be eager to part with it ahead of a storm like that. I'll highball them. I've seen you negotiate, and I've no doubt you drive a hard bargain. But I don't think money will be enough this time. You don't still have that old Calver, do you? The six-shooter? No. This is a disposable line. Answer still no. And what are you gonna do if you get there and it's not for sale? I'll ask nicely.